unbelievable 2 episodes in a row where we are live, coming at you live. This is the Talking Shop podcast. I am one of your hostess with the mostest, Josh from Grand Slam Cards. Michael is here with me from at Medium Rare Cards over on Instagram. We got It's Cobb in the background producing for us. We're here to talk some shop, talk about some products. Hang around. You'll get to see this card that's around my neck. It's a banger. We'll show that one off a little bit later. Other than that, Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Before I jump into anything that has to do with anything, let me do the run. Always. Like, not once during the pregame. Not once. But that guy knows when we go live or when we start recording. Well, other than killing insects, we're going to do the opening rip. We're going to talk a little bit about the first week in the NFL, and then I'll give a little recap on the Charlotte Card Show. It was awesome. And then we remember 9/11. It's an important day in our history. Want to make sure we give that its due. Then we are going to talk about what is, for me, one of the biggest release weeks of the year. Bowman Chrome Baseball gets released. We also will talk about a couple other products. And then we're going to jump behind the counter, do a deep dive. Well, for us, sort of a deep dive, a deep-ish dive in Bowman Chrome. Answer a couple questions. And as usual, if you guys, since we're live, if you have a question that you want Josh and I to try to tackle, drop that in the comments. Then we're going to do hits from the shop and then crazy stat of the week. But first, let's get started with the opening rip. Josh, I was blowing you up this weekend with overreactions to every quarterback. You had to settle me down. But what were your thoughts about week 1 in the NFL, Josh?
I think we have to be careful not to overreact. Because if we overreacted, we would write Joe Burrow off. We would write a few other guys off. We know we shouldn't do that. So I'm thinking it was pretty close to what I expected. Facebook user says Tua. I said, man, I almost drafted him in a couple leagues. I'm like, if Tua is healthy, they put up big numbers. When you got those two wide receivers, it's always been with Tua, just can he not get hit? Can he stay healthy? And if he stays healthy, learns to avoid those hard hits, they're gonna be tough. They're so explosive. But my Patriots fell down big, made it a game in front of Brady. And I thought, I don't know if you saw it, Jalen Hurts ran up the middle late in the game when they were trying to maybe put the game out of reach, coughed the ball up. The Patriots got it down 5. I'm like, this is perfect. This is what would happen with Brady all the time. A timely turnover. Brady takes him down, takes the lead, cements the big comeback. Mac Jones, not quite there yet. But they made it a good game. I was pleased overall. A couple shockers, but.
Yeah, I mean, the two big shockers for me were Burrow basically getting shut out. And I, like I said, this is not a sports podcast. It's a sports card podcast. So I don't know. I don't think Burrow got a lot of playing time in the preseason. And so it was almost like this was like his first preseason game. I don't know if I doubt he looks at a regular season game like that, but that's what it looked like from the highlights. The only full game I watched was the Patriots-Eagles. Mac Jones is a good quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's got the arm, because there were a couple throws that even I think it was Tony Romo. He was commentating. He was like, "Yeah, that ball needed to get there a little quicker." But he's a good Belichick quarterback. Let's put it that way.
You can see why they've kind of written off Corral and Zappi and those guys. They want to focus on Mac. He's got it all. They just got to put it together. And I had a good fantasy week, so I'm pleased there. But
And then
look at
another shocker was the Cowboys beat the brakes off the Giants last night.
That defense looks scary good.
Yeah. Like Micah Parsons could be MVP of the league. he's nasty. Yeah. So, and I was blowing you up. I was like, yeah, Russell Wilson's back. I'm reading it. Baker had a good day. Mac Jones is great. Jordan Love is awesome. And then I said, and Joe Burrow is trash.
Yeah. Facebook user Bijan Robinson. You know, some of the guys that, because I don't watch college football, this is the first time I'm seeing some of these guys.
Yeah.
Bijan looked good. Jahmyr Gibbs on Thursday night looked really good. I was shocked at he looked really good. There was a few, that 5'7" rookie for the Cowboys, little speedster, looked pretty good. Got a touchdown. Outside of the quarterbacks, I don't know many of these guys, so I was pleased with how some of them looked, because these are guys that are getting pulled from Cards products at the shop, and we need some people with a little spotlight on them besides quarterbacks, you know?
Yeah.
So did you see the stat there? Facebook user blessed us with the number one quarterback pick has never won an opener since like way back in 2005, maybe Derek Carr. So I did not know that. That would have been a good stat for later, but I got a different stat for later. So stay tuned.
Yeah. I don't think there was any other big surprises other than the Bengals and the Giants getting just shellacked. Hey, Ed, I figured that was you.
Ed, stick around. You might like what's on my neck. Stay tuned.
College football wise, big shocker. I know that you don't watch college football, but Bama getting beat by Texas is a big deal. So, especially with, the Quinn Ewers watch is significant just because his backup is Arch Manning over at Texas. So he's probably playing his butt off, and then he'll probably go to the draft next year and probably play 4.
Is he going to be a high pick? Is he supposed to be
a high pick?
He's
supposed to be very good.
I think people are starting to pull some of his cards from the shop in some of these draft products. So
yeah, he's going to be good. He's going to be good. So very interesting first week in the NFL. There are a lot of content creators going after the first week in the NFL, sort of overreacting, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. Wanted to stay away from that. Number one, because I only watched one game and then highlights, and you can't make a lot of good decisions on highlights because they're only going to show you the good stuff. Because, I saw highlights of the Bears game and highlights of the Denver game, and Russell Wilson and Justin Fields didn't look that bad, but everybody that watched the game said that they did not look good. So
I have Sunday tickets. I flipped around and watched little chunks of a whole bunch of different games, and I don't think I was at home all day long. After church, we went sister's birthday party. Then we went with some friends. We did another escape room.
Oh, nice.
One here in town we did. We failed. First one I've ever failed, but it was a hard one, and we took no hints. Because they're like, Josh, let's get a hint. I'm like, that defeats the whole purpose of this.
No lifeline.
And so, we were probably like 10 minutes from getting out of that room, a couple more puzzles before we ran out of time. But so I watched on my phone multiple games in the car and stuff like that. So I did get a good taste of a bunch of these different games. Brock Purdy, are we sold?
Are we believers yet?
I'm a believer. He just looks. I mean, here's the other thing too: the Niners are loaded with weapons.
Yeah,
that helps. But he just looks poised.
He looks the part.
He looks the part. It's not a fluke. The dude, it's like the Brady effect. I think Colin Cowherd maybe said it, or someone else said it on his podcast, but he's never going to be this like crazy top athlete. You just can't judge some of the intangibles. Like Brady had the will to win, and the leadership, and the discipline, and just the things you can't see at a combine, which is why these guys get drafted so late, because of their bench press and their 40s, that stuff that really, when you're playing quarterback, doesn't matter all that much. But he looks like he could be a really solid, smart quarterback for a long time. And it makes sense why they ditched Trey Lance.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's up, Jamie?
Yeah, Jamie, thanks for joining us. One game in, proud of AR. Who are we talking about there?
Let me think. Anthony Richardson, maybe. Yeah, yes. I think he did. People said he looked good, even though they
super
lost.
Athlete. Yep. I went to the Charlotte card show. I wasn't planning on setting up, but my buddy Jason was not feeling well, so he's just like, "There's a table there," and I'm like, "I don't really have any inventory, but I'll go." It's a good way for me to sort of get a pulse on the hobby, and it was busier than I thought it would be. Just, college football, it's tough to compete with college football on Saturday, especially in the afternoon, but it was steady. It was steady, and finally, I think people are starting to look a little bit towards basketball. Now with football season on its way, underway, I think people are starting to look at basketball a little bit, which is good. Basketball cards have taken up a beating, and rightfully so. They got super, 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 super hot, and they've been on the decline, so there's probably some good value there. What were you saying?
Did you know we were at the show, or the shop was at the show? That same
Charlie,
show?
I saw Charlie came up and said hello,
yep.
And then I saw a couple guys from the shop on the other side there, but I was pinned behind my table.
We had one. I was at the shop all day. I was sending people that way, and some people that were there came to the shop afterwards, and so I worked the shop all day. But we had a couple guys up there at the show, making some money and selling some singles and saying it was busy. And then people that came to the shop after the show said it was busy. And
yeah,
the shop was pretty steady too all day Saturday. So it's cool. I asked it. I didn't know you were set up there, but I asked if someone said they saw you up there.
Yeah.
And I asked if you were set up, and they said, yeah. And I said, he doesn't tell me anything. I don't even know this man anymore.
I didn't want to tell you because I wasn't wearing my Grand Slam shirt.
I've got to get you another one.
Yes, I was incognito, but it was busy. And one thing that I wanted to ask you about, and drop it in the comments, guys, after I asked Josh this, and I think we've covered this before, but because I can't remember it, I'm going to ask it again because I see these all the time at a card show. But what are your hobby pet peeves at a show?
Well, definitely just stand there and comp every card on eBay on the smartphone. That drives me nuts. And it drives me nuts so much that when I go to a show, I'm afraid to pull my phone out at someone's table.
Because you don't want to be that dude?
I don't want to be that guy, and so I just overpay for the card then. Or try to talk them down and just hope that their price was at least somewhat in the ballpark, and I'm getting somewhat of a decent deal. But we argue about this all the time. I don't shop if there's no prices listed, because sometimes the person's 3 or 4 people deep, and you don't want to bug them because they're in the middle of doing something, but I have no idea what their cards cost. Is this worth me hanging around, or is their price way off? So no prices. I mean, and then on the seller side, customers just stand there and eBay comp everything.
Yeah.
It's got to be so exhausting to comp it at 100 and try to buy it for 80 so you can go sell it to someone else for 100. And that just if you want to take the time to do that and that's your thing, you don't offend me. It's just a pet peeve of mine. But
Ed is saying no penny sleeves. Do you mean no penny sleeves for sale or no penny sleeves on the cards?
So that's like a card inside a top loader without a penny sleeve is a really...
Oh, yeah. That's like nails on a chalkboard for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a no-go. The reason why I asked, Josh, is I had a young lady come up to the table asking if I was interested in buying. And I don't know how many other tables she went to before me, but she had 2 Otani rookies raw, and I didn't take them out of the sleeves and see. They looked like they were well centered and looked clean. And I'm like, ooh, okay, Otani. What are you asking on these? And she gave me a number that was like shockingly low. And she'd been at yeah, exactly. I mean, shockingly low. And I don't know how many tables she had gone to, or if I was the first one. And I literally said, "You're not asking enough for these." I felt bad. That's how low it was. And I don't know if she ended up selling them. I'm hoping she took my advice and didn't ask for that low of a number. And because I told her that she was low, and she's like, "Yeah, that's okay." I'm like, "No, I couldn't." I gotta look at myself in the mirror. I mean, shocking, like bad. And I'm like hoping, and I don't know what your experience is with this. Have you ever said that to somebody? Have you ever said, "No, like, I can't, you got to raise your prices"? I wouldn't feel good about that. Putting you on the spot. Putting you on the spot, Josh.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, not because I've been able to hose someone because of their price, but just because, yeah, I mean, I've never had that happen where it was so unusually low.
It was, and I don't want to throw the number out there because if somebody did take it, I don't want to sort of rock the boat because it's a small hobby. As far as local dealers, I'll probably run into them. So no judgment. I'm just saying I was shocked. And I guess my pet peeve in the whole thing was like, when you have a chance to educate somebody and you're on the dealer side of things, educate somebody.
Sure.
Don't let somebody go
I've
around
done that
thinking
a lot.
Yeah.
I've done that a lot to, I'll tell people bring something in, I'll look at it and let you know, like, I'm not interested, but here's what you should ask for it.
Yeah.
And, if someone offers you this, I would take it, but I wouldn't go below this number. I've also done the thing where I've bought a batch of stuff. The price is really good, but I'm taking the risk still. And so I'll say something like, if I get X amount more than this, I'll come back to you and I'll pay you some more. And I've done that before. But I'll ask someone, did you have a price in mind? And if they tell me the price and I like the price, then I'm not going to, if they say 45, I'll say, here, I'll give you $50. I've done some stuff like that, but
yeah, I have the luxury of I'm not a card shop owner, so I don't put food on the table doing this for a living. So it's different for me. I guess anytime that I get a chance to educate, especially a younger collector, and this wasn't like a little girl. This wasn't like, she wasn't like 9 years old walking around with 2 Otani rookies. She was a grown woman. It was clear that the values, that how she was valuing it, it was almost as if she had never been on the internet. I was like, sort of.
And I don't like to haggle. So I usually just go straight to the number I'm willing to pay.
Yeah.
And so I usually don't lowball that in that regard.
Yeah.
And if they try to haggle, I said, look, that's the number I'm willing to pay. Like, I don't like haggling and going back and forth. So it is what it is. But yeah, I've had to, in the past, I've had to get on to employees for ripping customers off, maybe a customer or two, and then go back and make that right. Like, look, I remember telling one, I said, if you and I went to a card show and you came back and said, Josh, look at, I got this card. I got it for $40. I'd be like, dude, that's a steal. High five. But if you're behind my counter representing the store at the shop and customers are bringing cards in, you have to be accurate with your comps because that word will spread and that reputation will spread. So we look a card up. I've got a card we bought just a few minutes ago, and we're going to show you when we get to the card from the shop. But we just go look up comps, and I just go straight to the price I'm willing to pay. It's not a low ball, but it's not a high price. I often say, look, if you want, this is a $200 card. I offered $130. We paid $150. I'm like, if you want 200 for it, you can't sell it to a reseller. You got to go sell it to a collector. So I tell kids that a lot.
Yeah.
So remember, we're not at collectors. We have to resell it. So if you want full price, go sell it to a collector.
I'm full, and I'm just want to throw man versus cards. He's right. You know, some kids are more well versed in cards than adults, and it's just because they have been born with a cell phone in their hands, and they just know tech, and they just navigate. Whether it's eBay or Card Ladder or whatever app they're on, they can just navigate it, and they don't have they're digital natives, so they don't have a problem with that. And I completely lost my train of thought. I should have just finished that. But
I have to come back with the kids. Like, they'll pull up a comp. Will you take 10 for this? The last one brought 10, and I've got 18 on it or something. I'm like, yeah, but the 4 before that brought 20, or it also brought 10, but it also brought $6 shipping. Or you don't know that card got paid for. It could have sold for 10 and they didn't pay for it. There's so many variables that like no one ever gives me the lowest comp, and they always go, or vice versa. They never go with the highest comp. They always say, this one brought 12. Why are you
depending on if they're a buyer or a seller? Definitely. No, I remember what I was going to say. If somebody comes up to the table and they say, "Are you buying?" I was like, "I'll take a look." This is the progression. I'll always take a look. Or, yeah, I love looking at cards. That's why I'm here. I want to see what you got. And then while I'm rifling through the cards and seeing if anything catches my eye, I'm like, now, more than likely, this is going right back out on the table. I'm just going to be up front with you. And so I'm at this percentage of eBay comps so that I could sell it at this percentage. I'm not trying to get rich off of you, but I am trying to make some money on a card that I buy. Mm-hmm. And so off the rip, I try to get that speech out before I get to their last card if they give me a handful of cards.
Yeah.
And usually that sets the tone. Like you could almost see in their body language if they're like, "Oh, wow, that's really low." Or, "I get it. That's why I'm here. I'm unloading this to get into other cards. I know the deal."
Yeah.
So I try to get that out front. And that took me a while. To say,
It's the same adage of, look, you're not selling this to a collector. I don't collect Joe Burrow. I resell Joe Burrow, so I got to get it cheap enough. So we talked probably after the National about this. Maybe we didn't. But our inside joke the whole time at the National was all these booths and every card show you go to with this sign that says, "We're buying, always buying."
Always buying.
I'm like, well, no duh. Everybody's always buying. If the card is right and the price is right, you'd be a fool not to. So, so every time we see, and it's funny, you say, "Oh, they got a sign, we're always buying." And then, "Hey, you guys interested in these?" "I'll pass, but thank you."
Yeah.
You want to say, "Well, your sign says you're always buying." But you're not always buying. You're only buying sometimes. And
always buying at the right price.
We should make a sign that says, "We buy more than anyone else," or "We buy more often than we don't buy," or something. I don't know.
There we go.
Those signs make me chuckle. Always buying. That's like saying always eating. Well, if I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. Yeah.
Good point.
I'm kind of hungry.
Now that we have, that was the longest opening rip of the history of the show. But before, but before, Jacob's ready for new in the shop. But I really wanted to, Jacob, cut the music. Cut the music, Jacob.
Cut my music.
That's right.
You're
before we moved on, I did want to just take a moment. I know last year we talked about 9/11, where we were when that happened. I just wanted to put that out there. It's a day in our country's history that sort of it changed my life, just because it's not like I was really well traveled, but I had flown before, and there are people out there that are old enough to have flown plenty of times after 9/11. But I remember the days of being able to just walk up to the gate, meet somebody when they get off from the plane, and and it was just it's a different world now. So I didn't want to get too far into the show without remembering 9/11 Any thoughts on that before we move on, Josh?
No, just what a crazy day. I remember where I was and what I was doing. And we said last year, I won't give the full story, but I worked at a gas station, and that was the day that the line went down the road, out of the parking lot, down the highway, because everyone panicked and was getting gas. And so I was working the gas station a lot earlier. But yeah, waking up, seeing the news, seeing what was going on, kind of being confused. I know there's still a lot of confusion around that event. So that'll be for our conspiracy theory podcast next week.
There you go. Okay. Now, Jacob, you in the shop. Josh, it's a light-ish week as far as new products in the shop this week, but what do we got hitting the shelves at Grand Slam?
It's light except for it's one huge product, and I don't know how, when we get into our deep dive with Bowman Chrome, we'll talk a little bit about fanatics and allocations and what this is doing, but Bowman Chrome Baseball 2023 is Wednesday. Leaf Signature Series Baseball, Panini Plates and Patches Football, and Leaf Exotic Football is the end of this week. I hadn't got any word on Leaf Exotic Football. I texted my distributor. She says I did have a pre-order in for it. So that's, we love Leaf products at this shop. We sell the daylights out of them. It's a super cool looking product. One of my favorites. And then, that's for this week, along with what we always do, keep the shelves as stocked as we can with some fill-in product, whatever's available. But Bowman Chrome Baseball and Plates and Patches Football, those will be the two big ones this week. And then for the shop, Leaf Exotic Football will be very popular as well.
Well, before I jump into Bowman Chrome and our behind-the-counter segment, I forgot to tell you this. I was at Walmart probably the middle of last week, and first time I saw it in the wild, I saw a Magic the Gathering Lord of the Rings tin at Walmart. I didn't know that was a thing, but I have not yet seen Lorcana on the shelves of a big box store. I always run through that section at my local Walmart here.
I'm super curious if when we're gonna see that product out in the wild. So Walter's asking about Lorcana updates. So here's what I know. Our main distributor is Peach State. We get all of our sealed product through Peach State. We also get product from Southern Hobby. Most of the product we get from Southern Hobby is accessories. So not that y'all even care or need to know that, but I say that to say I saw a Southern Hobby email come through explaining that the wave 2 of Lorcana that was due in September that we've been kind of waiting on has been pushed to October. And so that was the distributor I don't use for that. And so I reached out to the distributor we do use for that, asked if there was any truth to that. And he said, yeah, I think there is. I haven't heard officially, but it sounds like wave 2 is getting pushed to October instead of September. And then chapter 2 is being pushed even into the 1st of 2024. So not looking good. Here's the good news. It's popular. People want it. We get calls every day for it. That's a good sign. Why they can't print more of it, like there's no tomorrow, even for like the pre-built decks, people so they can buy it and learn to play it. Why those are so hard to get even is a mystery to me, but that's a good sign. I'd rather have that than nobody wants it and it's sitting on the shelf. So that's the update.
Yeah. So real quick, and if you don't have an answer to this, just popped into my head when you were saying that it's hard to get a hold of. You don't need like an official card to play the game. So do we need to be sort of mindful about fakes that are out there? I mean, what's your take on that? I know that that's a big thing in the Pokemon world. These fake cards, and you know, people get awfully disappointed sometimes when they run into fakes. But what's your take on that?
So, have you heard of the word proxies? They'll use proxies for a deck. That's basically, I don't own the card, so I'm going to take a base card, an energy card, and I'm just going, or a fake card, design that card, and I'll play with that as if I own the card. And so that depends on who you're playing with. Do they care? I don't care if you're playing with real cards or fake cards. Obviously, if you're playing in a real tournament, you need to have the real sanction card. But proxies and fakes, like we see a lot of Pokemon fake cards come into the shop because parents buy them for their kids on Amazon. And we always say if you're buying singles on Amazon, they're probably fake. But the reason that it's not a huge deal is because people use these fake cards that look really close to the similars, and they can learn to play the game. You don't need to have them to play the game. So for buying and selling, it really stinks when we have to explain to the kid that all the cards they have in their binder are fake. So there's that part of it, but it's still kind of accepted because you can play the game with fake cards. So, yeah, I mean, if you were really hardcore about, I just want to learn the game and learn the mechanics, and, you know, I'm sure there's a list of all the cards from the set online with pictures. You can print out any picture you want and tape it to a card and, you know, play the game that way. But that's too much work for me, I think.
All right, cool. All right, let's jump behind the counter. Jacob? As I mentioned at the top of the show, big release week, one of my favorite products. It is a tough product just because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Bowman Chrome, which releases this week, there's a lot of international players in Bowman Chrome. Is that right, Josh?
Sure.
More so than Bowman Baseball. And then Bowman Draft obviously is focused on the draft. But Bowman Chrome releases this week. Jacob, if you could pull up, I think I dropped the link in the show notes for the pregame, if you can just share that. You can get it in two formats. And if you're familiar with like Topps Finest or Bowman's Best, Bowman Chrome comes in a box it's called a master box, and there's two smaller boxes in that. Each one of those smaller boxes has an autograph in each box. So you're going to be, there's two autographs. Yeah. So, and then for those guys that don't want any of the base, that just want the hits, there's what's called an HTA box. Now,
which is also called a jumbo box sometimes.
Yes, also referred to as a jumbo box. Now, at the National, there was there was a Topps Chrome SKU called Breaker's Delight, which all it had were hits. All it had were the autographs and the parallels, no base. And there's a reason for that. They called it Breaker's Delight. It's because these HTA boxes are in that same vein. It's just 3 autographs.
Yep.
Now, did you pull that up, Jacob? You're still looking for it. The base checklist, 100 cards. And then there's what I thought was cool. So here's Jacob's finally got this up here. This is the format. Well, not the format, but the layout. And I didn't know if you knew this, Josh, that I don't know if they're going to continue this, but Bowman University, I believe, was the first Bowman product this year. That's sort of like the preview for the Bowman layout for the rest of the year. So if you go back to Bowman University, this was the layout that they used. Yeah. As I mentioned, the base checklist is 100 cards. They have a World Baseball Classic flag refractor checklist, which is 100 card. So that's kind of cool. And then the checklist that we're all after when we're opening this product is the Chrome Prospects checklist. There's 100 cards in that. Now, I got this off of Cardboard Connection, which is the site that you're seeing on the screen. There are parallels that you could only get in the jumbo or the HTA boxes. And then there are parallels that are only available in hobby. So you want to be mindful, not only if you don't want to deal with the base, go with HTA. And if you don't mind the base and you're putting a set together, get that hobby box. So, Josh, what's your take on Bowman Chrome?
My take is I wish we were getting more of it on launch.
We talked about this in the pregame, yeah.
So, yeah, Fanatics is not impressing me with the way they're cutting distributor allocations. And when the distributors get less from Tops/Fanatics, they don't have as much to distribute out to all their accounts. And then a lot of the card shops are their accounts, us included. So we're getting very little of it in right on launch. I'm hoping we can go back to the well and get it most of the time we can. So that's the downside. I was telling Michael in the pregame, Topps had a post on Facebook and they were advertising their Cosmic Chrome cards. And it had a picture of some of the cards, and the headline said, here at Topps, we love the new look of this year's Cosmic Chrome. We just can't get enough of it. And I commented from Grand Slam as the commenter, and I put, yeah, neither can hobby shops. And boy, if you went down and read the comments underneath there, Topps was just getting chewed up and spit out from people's opinions on the price of that product, the availability of that product, them giving it to all the big breakers and everything, which is not letting it trickle down to the hobby shops and the regular customers. So that's unfortunately part of what we're dealing with right now. We'll work through it, and we're coming up with some different ways to alleviate that problem. But super excited for this product because it sells so well. What about the Tom Brady part of this product?
So Jacob, if you could scroll back up to, I think it was Roberto Clemente. So obviously, this is not saying that Roberto Clemente is and before I get to that, man versus card looks good. I've never opened baseball, but I might make this my first one. This would, look, I'm not saying don't open this, but if you've never opened baseball, this may be a tough product to understand just because you may not see anybody that you pull prospect-wise get to the major leagues for 2 or 3 years. So just putting that out there.
And Roberto Clemente is probably going to be a lot longer than that.
So you see this Roberto Clemente first Bowman. What they're doing is they're taking players that never had a first Bowman card, and they're giving them a first Bowman. Now, it's not a big checklist when it comes to this. This is called a retrofractor. And so there's 3 players on the checklist for the retrofractor. There's Roberto Clemente, Johnny Bench, and a guy named George Herman Ruth. Babe Ruth has a retrofractor here. It's not an easy pull. They're 1 in 8,200 packs, and Dave and Adams already has a bounty on the superfractor of Babe Ruth. It's coming in at $200,000 for the Babe Ruth superfractor.
Are you going to get that one for Susan?
I'm going to try. I'm going to see if I can. She'll be like, I'm no longer a Babe Ruth collector. Sell that thing. That's exactly what she would say.
Right. And she'd be smart to say.
Absolutely. So, and a couple other wrinkles here. There's some image variations. So be on the lookout for some image variations. And it's interesting for the base rookie image variations. There's only 2. There's only 2 players in the rookie image variation checklist, and it's Gunnar Henderson and Yoshida with Boston. That's it.
There it is. Interesting.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm
1 in 12,058 hobby packs.
Yeah, long odds. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up is you and I have talked about the SSP Acuna, the white jersey Acuna, which has now been like, I'm always looking for that card at a show.
Yeah.
Not that I'll ever be able to afford it, but I'm always looking for it at a show. And the other one that I'm always looking for is and it came out of Bowman, is the Shohei, and he's carrying his bat bag. It's an image variation. So that's another one I'm looking for. So I'm a sucker for image variations. So be on the lookout for those. I love this product. I love this product. Now I haven't seen, you'll see some content creators out there, and you'll see whether or not they rank this as a good checklist by how many pitchers are on the checklist. Certainly, hitters are like quarterbacks in football. You want to get hitters. That was one of the things that made last year's Bowman draft a great product, because it seemed like there were more hitters than pitchers. So I've yet to take a real deep dive on whether or not there are more pitchers than hitters on the prospect side of things. But you asked about the Brady card. That Brady card will be in Bowman draft, not Bowman Chrome.
You're right. Brain part.
But
what else was I going to say? Oh, one of those comments that someone on that Facebook post made, I thought it was pretty funny. They were being very sarcastic and not being kind in their words to Topps. But he said, "What's next, Topps? The hamburger fractor, the clown fractor?" I mean, they were just like hammering Topps with all these new fractors, just as a way to print more SSP stuff. But
yeah, and I don't think they're carrying that over to Bowman. I don't see the taco fractor on this checklist, so we'll see. But I wasn't going to bring this up because I don't know how old it is as far as the hobby news, but what is your take on the taco fractor? Like, what do you think? Because if you go to tops.com/taco fractor, they are saying, hold on to your taco fractor.
Interesting. Well, we
don't sell it.
I just saw one pulled in the shop. Like it was the Vidal Brujan rookie for the Rays taco fractor that got pulled in the shop.
And I'm not sure if it's the player taco fractor or the wild card taco fractor that sold for $11,000 on eBay.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's out of 5, so there's only 5 of them. But $11,000. Me and my buddy Jason were talking about, what in the world do you think you can, quote unquote, trade this wild card taco fractor card in for? Like what would that be?
A lifetime supply of tacos. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
maybe.
Is that $11,000 worth of tacos?
Maybe it's $50,000 worth of tacos.
I don't know. Like I was saying, well, maybe it
could be like a dual Shohei Acuna.
That's what I was saying. It was like, maybe it's a trip to next year's All-Star game.
Yeah.
And you get a in-person signed patch auto from the All-Star game, from the 2 MVPs of the All-Star game. I don't know. So, anyway, so Jacob's showing the crazy sales prices for the taco fractors. It is insane.
Remember the frozen fractor that Ed is mentioning here out of Topps Chrome. Stay tuned a little bit here and we'll show you something. Nice. Oh, I didn't say that. Walt says Top Update will have the Burrito Supreme fractor.
Nice.
See,
if we're gonna, yeah, exactly. If we're gonna be doing this podcast around dinner time, we can't be talking about food too much. I'm about to chew my lip off.
Let's touch on Ed's comment there. What is our take on these Bowman University College boxes? He opened 2 Alabama, got a few numbered to 50 with some refractors. Not bad for $25. So yeah, Ed, we've got the Alabama one here at the shop. It is $25. Since we're not doing customer hits from the shop, let me show this one card that got pulled out of an Alabama box. And I would assume this isn't the most expensive card in the world, but if you're an Alabama fan, you bought this product, and this was one of the cards. So it was Nick Saban autograph.
I would assume that's a fairly big card.
Yeah, and like Ed said, those boxes are only $25. So if you're an Alabama fan, they're $25 a box, 1 hit per box, either a relic, auto relic, or an auto. So yeah, Ed, that was a product where I said, if I don't order this, everyone will call that day when it comes out and ask if I got it, and if I do get it, then no one will buy it. So we sold a little bit.
It's the only team that I've seen offered, but last week someone was saying that Ohio State was doing it. Maybe it's regional. I don't know. On the Topps website, it's the only one available. So I would, I don't know. Maybe it's just Bama, but
yeah,
would love to see some other teams and see how they did. So.
Yep.
All right. I think we have, and drop some questions if you have any, but I know that we've got a question that Jacob brought up, and I wanted to be able to share that. Jacob, you want to throw that up there? So WWE Elite will be coming out next month, but the pricing seems high. Does this line up with product pricing for this brand in other sports? And just a little context, we did talk numbers for this. I think, Jacob, you were saying that the box prices were around $200 or $250. And Josh, were you able to look up what Elite was in other sports?
Well, we sold out at $299 for football. And it was that price for basketball too. Keep in mind now those prices, at least the basketball, probably has calmed down some because it's not new and hot. But one of my personal favorites, and I would think if WWE has the 2 autographs, I don't know if they would do a pen pal because that's kind of elite. You get the 2 autographs, one's an on-card pen pal rookie autograph. So I don't know what they do for WWE. But yeah, that seems a little high for WWE when football's $300.
Right.
I was thinking WWE should probably be in that $200 range, $180 to $200, but I don't know. Jacob might be able to answer better on his own if the prices that they're at now, by the time it launches, does it cool off? Does it come back to earth, or does it get higher? I don't know that answer, but all I know is Monday Night Raw is tonight, and I'm going to be watching it.
There you go. All right. That's the only question that we had. If you guys have any other questions, make sure you get them to
Sports pricing does this a little bit, right before launch, you got people competing for pre-order prices, and then when it launches, it's here, and then when it's hard to find, it goes up here, and then when it's not new and exciting anymore, it dips down here. Then when it's harder to find again, it goes back up here. So the price is very liquid on all this stuff. But Ed says Acuna goes deep again. If that dude is on fire. He's going to do what, 40, 70 easily, right?
That would be amazing if he did. I don't know if he is going to get to 40. So drop that in the chat. If he
hit another one today, that's got to put him at like 35, 38. Yeah. No, is it 50? I don't know. Ed's got homework to do. How many home runs currently does Acuna have? 36 home runs and 95 RBIs.
That's bananas.
And how many stolen bases? So he'll get to 40 home runs. So I was thinking 40, 70. When he hit 30, 60, I was like, there's enough season left for him to do 40, 70. Yeah. And he'll be the only person to probably do that ever too. But
yeah, he's really good.
Andrew says
that whole Braves team is good.
Oh, he's got 70. So he just needs 4 more home runs and he's got 40, 70. So
I knew I should have bought that super short print at the National.
Test him for steroids.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Andrew says, got to sell the Jordan Loves. Sell now? Sell later? Is he going to get better? Are you saying sell him now because it's a little bit of smoke and mirrors or what? But I did sell a banger of a Jordan Love when he was in the toilet, and I'm kicking myself now. I had his XRC redemption.
Oh.
Redeemed it. I PSA'd it. I got a 10, and I guarantee you I sold that thing for next to nothing as fast as I could when he was in the toilet. I wish I had that card back. But that's the nature of this business.
Yeah. He looked really good. I don't know anything about, like, if you ask me what Jordan Love's Prism Silver PSA 10 went for, I couldn't tell you. I know
that's why we have these.
I know. But I as far as whether or not he continues it at this point, the hype is there. So I'd sell now, and if he's bound to have a bad game or two, and buy it back at a lower price.
Yeah, and since we are a card podcast, I've never believed in Fields. Got nothing against the guy, and I would love to be wrong, but I don't think he's. And again, one bad week doesn't mean anything. Brady's had one bad week; it doesn't mean anything. But Fields didn't look good. I fear that he's just too much of a runner and not enough of a passer.
Well, did you see the kind of pressure he was under? Any quarterback would be a runner if they got the sort of protection or non-protection that he got.
Sure.
It's a tough position to play on the run. So, Walter.
Pokemon 151, what do you think will be the best set to collect and play for this year? That is a Jarrett question or an Aaron question down here at the shop. 151 will be a desirable set. I know that. We've had a lot of people asking about it. Comes out, I believe launch date is September 22nd, which is 11 days from now. Yeah, that'll probably be a good one. This isn't a sanctioned set in the sense that we'll get pre-release product, heavy allocations, and a 2-week head start selling it over the big box stores. This is one of the subsets that's going to be popular. We'll have some of it, I would assume, on the 22nd when it launches. I don't have numbers yet on it. But yeah, I know it's going to be good. Also, speaking of the 22nd, we'll talk about this next week too, but Topps, Allen, and Ginter, for my baseball peeps, we're going to break some of this because although I didn't get heavy allocation for Chrome, I got heavy allocation for Allen and Ginter, and we love this product. It's fun to rip. We're going to rip some of it, maybe even up to a case if people like it. So stay tuned.
Let's do it.
It's 11 days away. We may, if we don't do a case break, we'll do boxes at a time and set a case aside to break. But probably can't break Bowman Chrome. Don't got enough of it coming. But maybe in a fill-in we could do something like that because Ed was asking about it earlier. So
fantastic. Well, before we get to our card from the vault, I do want to throw it out there. Again, we have not zeroed in on an exact date. I know it's either going to be late September or early October for the next card night. It'll be card night 4. So be on the lookout for that.
We didn't talk about that, but the date I penciled in is the same weekend as the Nashville card show, which we're going to be at. That was the 14th. The next weekend after that, there is which is the 22nd, I think. There's a card show going to be in Rock Hill. I don't know if you heard about this.
How dare they?
Yeah, so I'm okay with it because it'll bring some collectors to Rock Hill. Maybe they'll come by and shop that day, but doesn't mean we couldn't do a trade night that night still. So those 2 weeks right in the middle, it's probably too early to do late September. So it might have to be really early October. Stay tuned. We got to get this date nailed down, but there's a lot of local shows in the area going on in the next several weeks. And so Collecticon this Saturday, Sunday in Charlotte.
You're going? I know Jacob said he was going.
I'm going to try to go up Sunday just to walk around a little bit. 2 of my employees are going up on Saturday and Sunday and going to probably do some buying and shopping and collecting. But yeah, I'll go up maybe Sunday. Last year I buzzed up Sunday by myself and walked around just to scope it out. But I'd like to do that again this Sunday. So are you going?
Let me know what time you go Sunday. I know it'll probably be after church for you. So let me know. I may join you. So, all right. Card from the vault. Now, you've got like some major bling around your neck that may, I'm going to make people wait for it. I did pick up a card this weekend. I know he's not your favorite guy. But it was a good deal, and went ahead and listed it because I know that this guy always sells, especially a PSA 10. And this is a unique card. I've never seen this card. And you know me, I'm a sucker for unique cards. So this is a LeBron James.
Oh, I like
it. It's like, what is it? It's a pro. It's a playing card.
Yeah, I've seen that card before. What's it out of?
NBA. All pro deal. And my buddy Jimmy, he said that's a cool card, but why in the world would they not make him put him on a king?
Oh yeah, that's
King
true.
James. It's crazy, but
what's the back look like?
It's just like a playing card. So
nice.
Thought it would look cool. And like I said, it's for sale on my eBay store. But that was my pickup, my card from the vault. Hopefully will not be in the vault for very much longer.
All right. And this card was pulled from the shop by Mr. Bentley Gardens, Ed, who's in the chat. It arrived from PSA. See, Ed, this is how bad my memory is. It came today. I couldn't even remember if it came yet. It came today. I literally unpacked it, put it on the stand, and sent Ed a picture of it because he owns it. We're going to put it on eBay for him. If anyone's interested, you'll be able to check this out on the eBay page. This was, if you remember, we pulled that Jordan Walker Sub-Zero Frozen Fractor. We did get a PSA 10 for him. This is a very large card. Jamie, you can order these chains from Show My Slabs. Or if you want, I don't know what, this just has a regular gold chain. I do have one of these for sale down at the shop. But yeah, this is a huge card. If you're interested, talk to Ed. It's his. It'll be on our eBay page. You'll be able to see it. Thank you, Ed, for trusting us with it. It's around my neck so no one can steal it. Here's a card, though. We bought this like 30 minutes before the podcast. It came into the shop. This is going to be in the shop for sale and also on our eBay store. But it's the 89 Donruss rated rookie, Ken Griffey Jr., but it's signed by him.
Oh, wow.
And underneath it, he inscribed 89 rookie and his big, beautiful autograph. It's authenticated. The card's not graded, although the card's in pretty darn good shape. If I had to guess, it's an 8 or a 9. But such a sweet card, an iconic card to have his autograph on. The autograph came out really good. It's not streak or anything. It was done with the right pen. But that'll be $200 on the eBay store or in the shop. Come see us if you're interested. Yeah, that's what I got to show off today.
Awesome. Well, before we get to your crazy stat of the week, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, comment, leave a review. Would love to hear from you on what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show, and if there's something that you'd like for us to cover, let us know that as well. Josh, take us out with crazy stat of the week.
All right, so I'm doing a little quick math here. All right, so I'm going to show the picture of it too because you'll be able to see it. And I'll read this, but this one is about Babe Ruth. There it is. So it says, back in the day, if a ball passed the foul pole fair, just like it does now, but then curved foul behind it and landed foul, even as a home run, it counted as a foul ball. There was also a rule for a time that balls hitting beyond the wall and bounding back into play were live balls. It's estimated that because of those rules, Babe Ruth lost around 75 home runs, which his current total in the record books is 714. You add 75 more, you're looking at 789 home runs. I believe that to be true, but I had never known that. If it curved fair and then landed foul, it was considered a foul ball. So they're probably thinking the foul pole, you just continue with that line after it. And and then balls that bound back into play beyond the wall were live. That's like high school gymnasium wiffle ball. You can play it off of anything.
And you'd think that the balls probably back then moved a lot more. Like they probably curved more because the stitching or the manufacturing of the balls were probably not as good as they are now. So they probably had a lot more curve around the So crazy stat. All right, Josh. Thank you for spending some time after the shop closed. I know you were there all day today. Jacob, thank you for producing. Josh, any closing thoughts before we let people go and watch their Monday Night Football and Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, good call. So Ed says, scan that square. So we scanned the square just to show pop 1 on that card. Kind of hard to see, but population 1 on that frozen fractor. Ed, was there anything else you want me to show? We kind of knew it was a pop 1 to begin with, and there's only 5. There's only 5 of them, so you got the
That's
only
a
PSA
card.
10. It's a big card. So
yep. Congratulations, Ed.
Hope to be on eBay tomorrow. The guys will get it up there tomorrow with some pictures. So
awesome. All right, guys. Thank you, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye. Peace.